Okay, thanks. Well, welcome to everyone to the Coastal Society's 2025 annual meeting. Special, welcome to anyone who's joining us for the first time. So my name is Jenny Biddle, and I am an associate professor at UNCW, and the program coordinator of the Masters in Coastal Ocean Policy program there, and the recently elected president to the Coastal Society. So a little bit relatively new compared to some of our members who have been with TCS since its inception in 1975, which I'm very grateful for their tenure and all the support given by our executive committee. So it's Judy Tucker, our executive director, Paul Tico, a past president, Lisa Schiafinato, who is our secretary and past president, and Jeff Bennett, treasurer and past president, as well as our experienced and accomplished board of directors. So we have Larry Cahoon, Will Ferris, Kate Fuller, Polly Glover, Cersei Gonzalez, Kelly Graves, Genevieve Gary, and Riley Lewis. And so I wanted to list all of them because over the past 6-7 months that I've been in this leadership role, they've been of tremendous support. And I am very grateful for all of their help and leadership and guidance. So I want to kick off. This meeting is to kind of go over what we did this past year in 2024, and then set our sights towards the future. So you'll hear reports from our committee leads as well as our executive committee. And so we're going to start off with that. So our agenda is going to really follow the line that was posted, where we're going to talk about what we did, and then, as I said, move into what we plan to do in the remaining part of 2025 and beyond. So I'm going to start off with asking our secretary, Lisa, to introduce and go over the approval of our 2024 annual meeting minutes.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you had a chance to review the annual meeting minutes from 2023. I wanted to, before we actually move into any sort of approval, I wanted to see if anybody had any questions or had any revisions to suggest.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I will call for a motion and a second to approve the 2024 annual meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve. It's Tom.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great.
Thank you, Jeff. All those in favor, I guess maybe a little bit hard on Zoom, say aye.
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 Thumbs ups to work.
Is anybody opposed? Okay, thank you so much. The minutes have passed, and I'm also taking minutes for this meeting as well. So I'm going to continue to be off camera and on mute unless I have to talk, so I can type. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate that. And so next, we really want to kind of just go over the highlights from 2024. So I'm turning it over to Paul Tico to kind of give an overview of those highlights.
Thank you, Jenny. Hi, everyone. This is Paul Tico, one of the past presidents of TCS. And yes, I've been asked to give a few highlights for our 2024 year. Most of the information comes directly from our annual report. So I understand that Judy has a slide up. I'm unfortunately unable to be on the Zoom video, but I am on the phone. So if there's any questions you have, or if I overlook something that may be on a slide, or anyone has any questions, please let me know. I'll start off, first of all, by just giving out a few TCS 2024 numbers coming from our report. I am not as qualified as others to talk about some of our financial situations, but our closing revenue for the year was a little over $12,000. There are 5 student chapters, 3 active and 2 dormant at the moment. We'll be talking about that a little later also. We received about $5,600 in donations and scholarships. And we, of course, send out a number of emails and have a number of social platform connections to members and others. We had last year 17 issues of the Coastal Jobs List, a really wonderful part of our outreach. We had 3,100 social media cross-platform followers and well over 12,000 social media cross-platform interactions, showing that a lot of people are very interested in what we're doing and are connecting with us. My second update is focused on our elections last year. We are very, very fortunate and thrilled to have these folks join us in their capacities. First of all, of course, Dr. Jennifer Biddle, our new president for UNCW, who's had connections to TCS for a long time, as have most of the other folks here. We have 3 new directors, Circe Gonzalez, Kate Fuller, and Polly Glover. If you want to know more about them individually and also their connection to TCS, please go to the website. But again, we're just very, very happy to have these folks aboard. My next update has to do with some of our programs. One of the, I would say, most important achievements in 2024 was the board approval of a new organizational strategic plan. The organization has had an overall plan for many years, but it has not been updated. And this new organizational plan, which is on our website, does focus on 4 primary goals. Some of them you'll recognize from our mission statement, of course. Number 1, fostering dialogue. Number 2, forging and maintaining our partnerships. Number 3, promoting communication and education. And number 4, maintaining a robust and sustainable organization. Now, under these 4 goals, you will find a very detailed set of action items and objectives, some quantitative, for instance, the number of workshops or the number of forums or the number of members we're looking for, things like that. So please look at that if you want to see an overall strategic plan going forward. In direct conjunction with this overall strategic plan, each of our committees developed an individual work plan, also in the general sense and with specific action items and objectives. The focus is on enhancing the purpose and goals of each committee, and I certainly want to commend all of the committee heads and committee members who put this together, because it really focuses on the mission of TCS, which is very well illustrated through the committees. So thanks again for that. And finally, certainly one of our most important items, our important actions, are our Margaret Davidson Coastal Career Development Program workshops, our MAD workshops. And this year, under direction of a few very important folks, there were 2 MAD workshops that were held. The first one in March, it was the Atlantic Estuarine Research Society Spring Meeting, hosted by VIMS, the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, in Gloucester, Virginia. There were 34 attendees, speakers and members of the planning team. Very successful. Our second was held in October, Coastal Carolina River Watch's Water Quality for Fisheries Symposium, hosted by the Duke University Marine Lab at their Beaufort campus with 32 attendees. And I just cannot overstate the importance of these workshops, not only to gather people together to discuss this, whatever the primary topic is, and to interact and communicate amongst each other, networking for younger people, but also showing how TCS can be a great conduit, not only for the subject matter, but bringing younger professionals into the field, into TCS, and really discussing issues that are important to all of us, a reason that we're members of TCS. So thank you for all of that. Is there anything I missed, please, Jenny, or anyone else?
I don't think so. I think that was just a perfect segue into our next bit, which is our highlights from our different committees and the TCS programming. And first, we're going to kick it off with Jeff Flood to talk about those MAD, the Margaret A. Davidson Coastal Career Workshops. So, Jeff, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Biddle, and thank you, Paul, as well for kind of the recap of last year. Our goal is to get between 2 and 4 MAD workshops per calendar year. We have already achieved 2 already in this year, so which isn't captured in the annual report for 2024, but we've already experienced some success in 2025 with Tom Bigford leading a mini MAD workshop, which is a smaller, more streamlined format, more flexible than we've done than a half-day format, which is the usual. I did that about April 8th in conjunction with Michigan State University, a sort of a hybrid meeting. That was a great success. Hats off to Tom for leading that and pretty much doing the whole lift on that. I had the pleasure of working with a great team, several folks who are here on this call on our MAD committee, working to have a workshop in conjunction with the North Carolina Coastal Federation's Spring Summit in Raleigh on April 9th. And that was attended by a robust group of folks. And we made some new connections there among the speakers, and even got a new board member here for Dr. Ferris, who is one of our distinguished speakers. So a lot of connections made, a lot of lives touched in a positive way with our students. So already 2 under our belt. We have one that we are very close to announcing the save the date for. It's September 20th in conjunction with our very much active student chapter at the University of Rhode Island. So that will be going out soon, and we'll be updating the MAD website, and that is open to anyone. So if you want to fly in, drive in, or I think it's going to be pretty much in person, but anyone in New England is welcome to attend. And it is targeted for Rhode Island, but very much casting a wide net of folks who are interested in those topics. And then in conjunction with our forum that we're still working on some of the final details, but that Dr. Biddle will be discussing shortly in October at UNCW in Wilmington. We'd like to have another workshop there the day before. So we're looking to meet our goal of 4 workshops with a robust turnout, and always tweaking the topic to fit that audience. We want to listen to the folks who are helping planning it and empower our student chapters and young professionals wherever possible to help the folks at the national committee level do the great work. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks for all your hard work over the past year. I turn it over now to Stephen McLeod to talk about our Coastals Connection programming.
Hi, all. Yes, wanted to say, per the annual report, we were on a bit of a hiatus in 2024 with the Coastal Connections series. We did try to line up a professional spotlight earlier in the year. It hit some difficulty, partly with the change up in the administration, frankly, and the availability of certain speakers. We were able late in the year to start lining up for a trending topic session that we were able to successfully hold in the early part of the year in March regarding the South Atlantic Salt Marsh Initiative. That was kindly hosted by Dr. Laura Clark of the Pew Charitable Trusts. And we had panelists Dr. Michelle Covey, TCS member, Todd Miller, TCS member, and Amanda Gobley. Also, I don't know that she's yet a TCS member, but hopefully we can twist her arm. So they spoke about the initiative, a multi-state, a regional initiative to benefit the natural ecosystems and of the Southeast U.S. It really a great example of a regional conservation effort that leverages public and private academic and non-governmental organization connections to usher along and weave together all the smaller level efforts in the aiming towards a goal of improving 1 million acres of salt marsh. So that was an excellent presentation. Some slides are available. I will post in the chat here the web page link to the Coastal Connections page where you can see more information about this and other sessions. Following the March session, we also were able to arrange a April session regarding PFAS with a focus on the Cape Fear region and discussion about the effects in the at the greater level, because these forever chemicals are pervasive, as we're finding in all areas, certainly in the United States and elsewhere in the world. So this is the per and polyfluoroalkyl substances that have been used for a long time for non-stick cookware, fire-resistant materials, etc. But it is becoming more and more apparent through work of some of our own TCS members, including PhD candidate Genevieve Geary on the phone, as to who hosted the session, who moderated the session, I should say, and spoke with panelists Dana Sargent from Cape Fear River Watch, Dr. Aaron Ramus with a recent NOAA Knaus Fellow, and worked with the North Carolina State to do some fish monitoring, and Vaughn Haggerty with the Cape Fear Public Utility Authority, who was also a journalist at the time that the news was breaking about the level of contamination in that Cape Fear Basin. So thanks to everyone who helped pull those two sessions together. We are still, we're in a planning stage for additional sessions coming up in the coming year, and would happy to have other volunteers with ideas come forward for sessions, to identify speakers, to help coordinate the sessions over the coming year. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. That's a great example of some of the virtual programming that TCS does, so that we can kind of hit a lot of the different topics that are affecting all of the coastal states across the country. All right, so moving to Kate Fuller to speak about our committee for the communications.
Hi. Yes. Thank you, Jenny. So we did have Alexis leave us because of having a wonderful, adorable boy. And we are still looking for a chair currently to replace her. We have a couple of liaisons that are taking the roles in the meantime, but we have been successful at trying to roll out any needs for website updates, as well as flyers and other social media components. We did have to create a new form setup that allows for notifications. And we also integrated a calendar onto the website to allow for additional information to be shown for various events, ranging from those within TCS itself as well as chapters. I think that should cover most.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate all the work the communications committee does. They produce some really beautiful flyers, and you've seen probably the social media posts. Maybe that's how you found out about this meeting. And so many thanks to them and all the great work they do to kind of keep us out there and visible. And it's something that keep If you haven't already started following some of our social medias or been to the website, I encourage you to do so because we have some really great programming coming up for in fall, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But next, we're moving on to Ava May to speak about our diversity inclusion, equity inclusion committee.
Great, thanks, Jenny. Sorry to not be on video, but hi everyone, I'm Eva, for those of you I haven't interacted with before. So I took over the DEIA committee in January this year. So that was kind of the first thing we were dealing with, was just a shift in leadership. They're not here right now, but I do want to give a shout out to Kim and Giv for 2 fantastic years of service in this position before me. We started off 2024 with launching our initial our initial demographic survey. So we kind of built this and sent it out to current TCS members to just get an idea of sort of baseline understanding of where we are in terms of our membership. And that's gonna hopefully help us kind of decide where we want to go in terms of expanding the reach of TCS across different kinds of people. We've also been kind of working on a little bit of the legal side of potentially launching a bias incident reporting form that Gibb finished up for us before he left to hike the Appalachian Trail earlier this year. With that, what we're looking into now in 2025 is maybe trying to slightly tweak that so that's less of a kind of really, really serious thing, and maybe making it a slightly more casual thing that can be just a tool for open communication that maybe the student chapters can use. So if you are part of a student chapter, we may be in touch about that at some time in the future this year. We also expanded our name and work plan to include accessibility. And so one thing that we're working on now is trying to think about how we can make both TCS events and also the TCS website more accessible generally. We also had one of our members do some pretty heavy research into land and water acknowledgements and Indigenous relations to try to see if this is something that we want to incorporate into TCS events in the future. And then this year, in addition to the couple things I just mentioned, we are also looking into developing kind of standing DEIAB statements for student chapters to incorporate into their bylaws. We think that these should be things that are available online at each student chapter, and also things that if you are part of a student chapter in a leadership role, you should sign on to. And then we are also always kind of thinking about ideas for DEI focused workshops, meetings, or partnerships that TCS can be involved with when there's budget available. I think that's about it, but if anyone has any further questions, feel free to contact me.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Eva. I appreciate that. And just a note about student chapters. So currently we have some chapters. We have it as Jeff noted, we have University of Rhode Island, East Carolina University, UNCW. We are working to potentially have some partnerships and bring in some people affiliated with Duke Oceans, which we'll have Will Ferris talk about in just a second. But I want to just put a shout out there. We have engagement, these mini MADs that have been happening in places like University of Michigan and others. These are something that's a core part or tenet of the Coastal Society mission, is to really get out there and educate and communicate the issues, as well as to foster networking and partnerships for both students and for early professionals and mid-level and advanced careers. So the idea really is to bring everyone together working in this field, and starting really with, I think, the foundation. I'm obviously a bit biased towards education, as that's where I put my flag in terms of trying to make a contribution, but student chapters can pop up anywhere. So if you know of a place, if you have an alma mater or you're currently a student and you want to get interested or form a chapter, a student chapter within your organization that's affiliated with our larger TCS, please reach out, please visit the website. There's very detailed guidelines on how to do that. And we would love to have you. So moving on, I'm going to ask though, if we can shift to Will Ferris, who's going to speak real briefly about a kind of a joint venture that is taking place between Duke and UNCW.
Hey, everyone. Great to be here on the call. This is my first, I suppose, big meeting with the Coastal Society. I met Jenny through UNCW and had the great pleasure of, meeting others at the MAD over in Raleigh a couple months back. So I'm based out of Duke. I'm going to quickly put something in the chat. It is my name, which is Will. I go by Will. Don't do William. Keep it very casual. Please reach out though to me at wnf@duke.edu or on LinkedIn, because we at Duke are trying to revive the Coastal Society chapter. I've reached out to some of my colleagues, coworkers, collaborators here at Duke, and there's this existing group called Oceans at Duke, which is pretty well established and pretty well funded. And we're working to establish, not to say a cradle to grave, but bear with me on this, a cradle to grave pipeline for workforce development, in that, between Oceans at Duke's larger network and then the subset channeling, the Coastal Society, will have scalable, stackable training opportunities for students at Duke to first be integrated Oceans at Duke. And then as they develop, we'll kind of like snipe or pick from the cream of the crop and put them on the Coastal Society. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Right now, we're working with a nonprofit called Fed by Blue to investigate opportunities to screen one of their PBS documentaries. Names in the Fed by Blue series have included Andrew Zimmerman, Martha Stewart. It's going to be great. We'll follow up more with additional information on a date and time, but again, cannot reiterate enough how fun it is to be here with everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. We're happy to have you on board. And yes, so that's again another reason to follow us on social media so that you can stay up to date on those kind of offerings, because I too am really excited for that particular event, the documentary screening. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the regional forum. So I'm going to invite Sam Boyce, who is a professional project manager who is taking the lead on helping us plan this awesome event.
Thanks, Dr. Fiddle. So right now we are still in the planning phase. We have selected a date. It will be on Friday, October 24th. And as Jeff mentioned earlier, there will probably be in a MAD workshop in conjunction there, probably the day before. It'll be at UNCW at Discovery Hall. And we've sort of narrowed down a theme at this point. We're going to talk about innovations in sort of natural resilience, particularly around shoreline, community resilience, probably around flooding, and then marine debris and plastic management, innovations in how to manage those. And we're still finalizing the speaker list. So still a lot of work going on there to get that agenda finalized. And there will be some additional information that will be available in late July or early August. We'll be reaching out to the communications committee to start sending out save the dates and getting that registration available for people in the August timeframe. And I do want to thank everybody that's been helping so far. Jeff and Dr. Biddle and Will and Kate. I don't think I've missed anybody else there. Judy's been helping as well. But if there is anybody else that wants to help with the planning, please feel free to contact me or any of the other committee members that I mentioned, and we can get you involved with that.
Thanks, Sam. And if you haven't been to a forum before, they're really wonderful events because it's not only do we really bring in experts and practitioners to talk about very pressing issues within that region, but we offer these opportunities for people to then have discussions. So a big part of it are, kind of geared around getting, a very engaging and interactive, forum for dialogue, really, which is, again, another one of our kind of core mission tenets is to foster dialogue. And so that's a great event. And if you're interested in going, yeah, like Sam said, keep an eye out for postings, but please feel free to also reach directly out to any of us if you have ideas about that. Okay,
Jenny?
moving on to, yes, please.
This is Tom. Jenny and Sam.
Yes, thanks, Tom.
That sounds like a great opportunity to toot our horn. The Coastal Society was was the group that started all the work on marine debris in a public way. Back in the early 80s, we led the national effort to schedule beach cleanups around the country. And that group that started with Coast Day, and then it got big and became Coast Week, and then it got even bigger and became Coast Weeks. And National Estuary Day, they're all set the same general effort that started with TCS.
That's awesome. Thank
That's a
you,
good
Tom, for
note.
sharing that highlight. Yes, that's great. And that's kind of another nice segue into what we're going to have next is our interactive, component of this meeting, which has always been something we do. So if you mind, go to the next slide, Steve. I actually put some just some prompts or questions to put to the discussion to foster discussion. So Steve, there was a slide that I think there was a slide for the roundtable just to show the questions that I wanted people to consider. So I'm going to start by just explaining kind of what I hope to get out of this. So if anyone, those of you that don't know me, in a classroom, I don't like to be the only person talking. So I'm big about it being a two-way street with conversation, and hence, why I think the Coastal Society was so appealing for me was because our mission is actually to actively address emerging and current coastal issues by fostering dialogue, forging partnerships, and promoting communication and education. And these are also my kind of career goals and ideals in terms of how I teach and how I like to contribute towards causes that I believe in. And so you've heard now from our committee leads and our executive committee about the kinds of programming that TCS has offered in the past and continues to offer. And what I would like the conversation now to be geared towards is what your thoughts are on the role TCS should play in what we are finding ourselves in our kind of uncertain times, obviously, and pressing issues, uncertain times, the pressing issues. And how can we go about as an organization to fulfill that role? And this is where it's great because we have people on the call like Tom and Jeff and Judy that have been here since the beginning. So they can really speak to what has worked in the past. And then I would love to hear from some of our new members as well as people that are new to TCS that are on the call about where they think we should fulfill, because it's always really good to have kind of that, fresh perspective because times are changing, right? And so we need to adapt as an organization in order to meet the need and fulfill our mission. So now, Steve, if you wouldn't mind just opening up to the gallery so that we can see each other's faces. And the way I'll facilitate the discussion is if you'd like to speak, just put your little emoji or just raise your hand up. I'll call your names and then we'll just kind of have a discussion about this. So remember that reminder questions are, what is TCS role and how are we best fulfill it? Yeah, Paul, do you want to go forward and kick it off? Did he just go? Fine. Oops. Oh, Rebecca, thanks.
Hi, I don't think all of you know me. I'm a former board member of TCS and was on a couple committees, and this was some years ago. Hi, nice to see y'all. I would say the professional association piece of the puzzle is still a really critical piece. I'm sorry, I'm working, so I'm not 100% listening to everything. I just fully put that out there and acknowledge it. But I did hear you say, or, someone talking about, continuing to provide that role. And I know that's really important. I think it was you that mentioned the mid and later career folks, which has always been one of the things that I've tried to underscore, is that just because you finish college or grad school doesn't mean that you're done growing and trying to, figure out your place, and can't still use mentoring. And I know Margaret Davidson was really supportive of that issue, as well as many other folks on the line, Tom and Paul and others. I appreciate what Tom was noting about the marine debris and our role as an organization in terms of education and, keeping issues out front in this time with the federal agencies and other challenges both at state and local levels. And then I guess I'll put in a little plug. I do see that the focus has generally been in the US. And I do think, especially with USAID going away, there are opportunities to expand, more broadly in a big picture and across the world. And my plug is that I'm currently on the board of another nonprofit called Ecologists Without Borders. And I do think that there might be some opportunities for cross-pollination where there's growth opportunities. People can work on remotely on projects and meet different people in their field, in the coastal field. And so I think that could, things like that could be advantageous. So just sort of offering that up there and not sure how to proceed. Thanks.
Thanks. Yes, thanks, Rebecca. Those are great points. I agree. And thanks for the plug. I definitely I would like to follow up with you on the Ecologists Without Borders. That sounds amazing. Paul, did you want to mention anything? I thought I saw.
Well, I'm sorry, my phone cut out. And, I apologize. I didn't hear a lot of that, but I actually did. Thank you. I did want to bring up an issue maybe for some discussion. There's been a lot of internal talk, very appropriately, about the mission of TCS going forward. And obviously we have some very long-standing and very impressive goals, objectives outlined in our mission statement that we've been following for, well, it'll be 50 years this year. It's served us very well. We have had some discussions about our direction. I think generally we decided that primarily our role in outreach, education, assisting young professionals in the field, bringing people together to discuss these issues in various ways is really our strong suit and our role in the field. There has been more talk about whether or not we want to extend that out to actually promoting either our own, let's say, recommendations for some policy initiatives or joining other organizations in stating a preferred role or objective going forward. So again, in these times, which are difficult both financially and within our sphere of influence, I think going forward, it's going to be a very important topic to see what we really want to be and if we want to extend out to be perhaps more in the spotlight.
Well, thanks for that, Paul. I agree. I mean, these are important considerations. And I think what I don't know if you heard Rebecca, but she also has brought up the importance of providing these learning and networking opportunities for not only, mid-level and advanced career professionals, but also, maybe international communities. It's one thing that I know in conversations I've had with people in the field, there's a sense of a desire for community amongst professionals, as almost like camaraderie, right? To rally the troops, to remind ourselves why we do the work, and to not lose hope, right? And to keep pushing that needle forward. So I appreciate both those comments, and curious if any others want to share their thoughts on what they think the role TCS can play in trying to advance those goals.
Hi, I'm Holly Theobald. I'm a student with the MPA program at UNC Wilmington. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an environmental educator, and listening to all this is all me. So I really appreciate, first and foremost, being here, and for the invitation. I really appreciate it. I think that hope can be brought through community engagement with schools. I think that might be a really cool avenue, especially if it's tied in with science standards. And then that way it could be a collaborative effort where everyone can bring their different skills to an outreach event that ties in with standards, legalities, if offsite field trips, that's something to be worked out. But that might be a really great platform to kind of bring everybody on the same page and have that inspired hope working with the next generation.
That's a great, I love that, Holly. And yeah, we'll definitely, yeah, anyone thoughts on this is something I could definitely see maybe partnerships within, you know, the TCS student chapters to advance that mission too.
I'll jump in.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so everything to me as an economist looks like a dollar sign. So with that in mind, pivoting off what Holly was saying about engaging with, students, early in their educational careers, what can we do to more effectively, and I'm sorry, I'm reading my other screen, I prepped this question. What can we do to effectively engage and integrate non-traditional workforce development training programs, such as that related to economic development, flood insurance modeling, and other financially focused angles to support community resilience and sustainability in light of current administrative and funding challenges?
Love that. Yes. Rebecca's applauding. Agreed. I agree. That's a great question. I can't say I have an answer right away, but I love that we're working on this. I think it's important. Jeff, did you want to have fun? I thought you.
Oh, I was going to say I agree with both those statements. It's something that through the MAD committee, we have worked with high school students in the past. Tom led that workshop in 2022 with the Restore America's Estuaries Summit. We just don't have contacts at the local, like high school level to reach out to educators to say, let's do a MAD workshop. It's given the 100% volunteer capacity that we have. It's easier to find speakers and attach to a university and target that level. But that doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. I think it can be done. And I think to the second point with Dr. Ferris about looking at economic resilience, I think these forums, we will see if we're able to sustain this effort. Again, all volunteers working on these events to bring in just a little bit of revenue and mostly create awareness for TCS. I think you'll see them as a really good incubator for ideas and discussions at that regional and local level so that you'll see more members of the public that are become more interested. You might see some local politicians who are ready to share lessons learned and tools and really build credibility with their community and get to solutions. So it's no longer, let's go spend $1,000 and go to a big conference and hear about all the innovative solutions that are out there like a trade show. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We all do it and we've all been there. But how are those tools applied in my backyard? And I think TCS is just a neutral convener. We don't need to be in the advocacy space at this point. I think there's nothing really to gain or lose. I think we can really continue to find the solutions and forecast developing trends based on some of those resource scarcities or areas where those resources are more plentiful and be kind of that matchmaker in ways to help folks out from a capacity standpoint.
Well said. Well said. It's all about those ripples. Yeah, Judy, and then we can go back to Will.
Hi, everybody. To continue what Jeff has said and others have said, they've done a great job of putting a project in a box. If you wanted a MAD workshop at your chapter, the instructions are there, the lessons are there. If you wanted to run a regional forum on the West Coast, on the Gulf Coast, somewhere where you live, the instructions are there. We've got the support for you. So it doesn't have to be something that TCS or the national board has to approve. It's something that you are empowered to go ahead and do. You will supplement the contacts that we don't have at this point. Thanks.
Thanks, Judy. Yeah, I agree completely. Go ahead, Will. Did you have
Yeah,
another thing?
So I'm just gonna riff off what Jeff was saying, Holly was saying, Judy was saying. Something just came to mind when I was a very young student back in the day, which is really not that long ago, but bear with me. They brought an actuary in, and an actuary explained what they did, and I was like, "What is this? Why are we talking about statistics?" I think though that looking back on it 10, 15 years later, there's room to engage with actuaries and statisticians because you cannot have coastal resilience without the data support underlying, yes, we are going to ensure this nature-based solution, this higher building code through IBHS. To that effect, I'm wondering to what extent existing personnel in the call have contacts in the perhaps insurance, reinsurance, actuarial modeling spaces that they'd be able to, per se, mine for a MAD workshop panelist or session or someone that really brings in almost a curveball to the conversation.
I love it. Great curveball. Anyone want to take a swing at that one? Or does anyone have any contacts? Because that would be wonderful to bring up. I agree.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I've got
Important
mine, but like I'm
perspective.
hoping for more.
Hi, Rick. I just saw you join. We're just talking about the role of TCS and where we see it going and playing out in these kind of uncertain times as we move forward.
You're
Do you have anything else?
to me, ma'am?
Oh, I was just saying hi, and I
Hi.
just wanted to
Hi.
engage you in the conversation a little bit. I'm known for being a call out.
No, that's okay. That's fine. No problem. And Judy made me put my camera on, so I'll blame her for that.
Well, I saw a hand go up on Gino. Gino, do you have
Yes,
any
thank you.
insurance or actuary people you might be able to connect us with?
No, I do not. That's not my field at all, but I had a comment otherwise. So if you want to stick with the actuary line of conversation, you can do that for a while.
Nah, you can only go so far with it.
Yeah, Gina, why don't you add in your thought and then we'll go over to Rick.
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts. One is I certainly like the education aspect that TCS has been doing. And the non-traditional, I think, everything we do is non-traditional anymore. So I think the more of that we can blend in, the better. I like the TCS workshops. I think they've been pretty effective. As a very long member of TCS, I still miss the in-person meetings that we had years ago. And I know that financially that got to be a problem, but I think that there's nothing like getting everybody together in a room to build camaraderie and exchange ideas. And so I still miss that. I'd like to see that as a vision for TCS down the line. Advocacy. So typically I try to keep advocacy out of organizations like this, but I think we are at a time where it might actually be necessary. You look at the proposed 26 budget for NOAA, no more coastal grants to states. That is going to have a huge impact on our community. Will coastal programs go away if those aren't funded? Will states continue them? To be determined, I think, but it's a huge hit to our community and the work that we try to do. So, I'm leaning at this point in time, I'm leaning more towards advocacy than I probably ever have been. And Rick and I remember some rough times back in the Reagan years, and Jeff Benoit and others remember some tough times, but nothing like this. So, and years too. It's right. So anyway, I think that we may want to think hard about the advocacy piece, and we can do it alone, or there are other groups that we can advocate with. And I know that the Coastal and Estuarine Research Federation is teaming up with some other groups, and I know that there's those kind of opportunities where maybe we're not quite in position to go at it by ourselves, but we could do it as a group with other like-minded organizations. So thank you.
Thank you. I agree. Rick, go ahead.
Gino just stole my thunder, you bum. But what do they say? Good minds think alike.
Old guys think alike. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I do think now's the time that the organization needs to be more advocacy and proactive. The workshops and all that are wonderful. But there's going to be a lot of hurting going on soon, and it's already started, and it's going to get worse. These programs that are being supported at the federal level are in big trouble. As Gino pointed out, the budget is out. A lot of programs are zeroed out. There are a number of groups around, Coastal States Organization, Sea Grant Association, NERA. I'm sure all those groups are engaged in work now on the Hill, working their members to try to offset what might occur when the budget is actually deliberated. Appropriations are trying to be set. There's some noise that they're going to go with a continuing resolution again this year. Don't know too much detail about that, but that would be a saving grace, to be honest. If there was one, at least it would extend the time that these organizations would be supported. I think in terms of TCS, if there was an opportunity, and I'm going back to Paul's comments too, because Paul sort of put this on the table and he was being very nice about it. But maybe this group needs a small working group on what do you call it? Legislative affairs, or not legislative primarily, but just on this topic to talk about and maybe engage in with some of the leaders of these other organizations, so we can join on to letters that are being written, or we can actually contribute to information that is being put together jointly. We've learned, and I learned, at least in my experience, that working together with other organizations is much more powerful than having 10 or 15 or 20 organizations sending in separate messages. So if we can build a coalition, we are not going to build it. It's going to be built. It's being built probably. I just don't know right now. And be part of that coalition, I think that's going to actually help expose us a little bit more in terms of what we are and what we can do. We're the ones who are on the chopping block, so to speak, because there's not a lot of hope that the states are going to be able to pick up what is lost without the federal investment that's going into those states. So I'm pretty firmly, and I've always said this, even when I was on the board recently, as I think we need an advocacy arm. And I think we need to put it into play and let it work.
Thanks, Rick. I mean, this has actually been an ongoing discussion we've been having recently about how to respond, because we've gotten some of those requests from other organizations saying, will you share, will you sign on? And so we have actually drafted, which I would love to share with you and get feedback on, a policy on how to respond. It's more of an overarching, like, how and when to respond, but we don't actually have like the language yet, but that is ongoing. And we would love to have that feedback from you, because I agree with you. And I think a lot of us, but we also have to walk that fine line of being careful that we do it in a very like deliberate way.
Well, if you'll, sometimes this is pretty easy to do, depending on who's taking the lead in these efforts. If there's another organization that's agreed, and that's the way it usually works, to take the lead on writing letters or setting up some sort of other type of quote campaign, that all it takes is TCS to sign on. We, put the president's name and the Coastal Society and we're part of it. But that doesn't mean that's the sort of the camaraderie part, or the collaborative part. The other part is that TCS can work in its own way in trying to get the word out that these programs are, well, people know locally that these programs are important, but to try to engage colleagues and friends that they may have to also make inquiries or phone calls or whatever it might be to help that along. The organization is a 501c3, if I'm not mistaken, and but they are allowed. 501c3s are allowed to do a tiny bit of political advocacy. That is allowed. So as long as you're not using federal dollars to do it. Since many of us on this board are volunteers, we're not getting paid for any of this, and we do it as persons. I think we can do a little bit of that kind of thing. So I think it does need to be part of the portfolio of all the things TCS does, especially now.
Does anyone else want to share some thoughts?
I'd just like to add that I agree with what is being said, because I think it is very important that there is a voice that unites all those that are being affected currently, and futuristically talking about budgets. I know with Sea Grant 2, there's uncertainty, and just being able to have a voice that is not restricted by federal funding currently, I feel like gives us a stronger point to be able to say something and to support coastal issues without being under the concern of losing federal support.
Oh, well said.
Hey everyone, this is Lisa. I wanted to say I really like Rick's idea of having a small work group. I mean, we have been talking internally with the executive committee. I'll let Jenny talk more about that, about process and everything. But I really like the idea because we have so many members that have a lot of knowledge, a lot of connections, and let's use that. That will help make our process stronger. That'll help make the outcome stronger, our decisions stronger, on how we do advocacy, so we can do it deliberately, as Jenny said, which is something I agree with. So I just wanted to kind of really chime in that I think that Rick's suggestion resonated with me, and it'd be great to kind of have more members involved in this, so we can just have as many ideas and institutional knowledge as we can, because TCS hasn't really done this before, and so we want to do a good job. We want to be effective and be an effective partner to a professional sphere.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, we've been, like I've said, primarily within the executive committee, but also engaging the board on how to do this better. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, I just last week, I think it was the Consortium of Aquatic Science Societies, CAS, organized hill visits to talk about issues, not necessarily just coastal issues, that there are ocean issues, rivers, lakes, just aquatic in general. And they're always looking for partners in written things like reports on related to wetland policy or climate impacts or population shifts. They've been different topics that have resulted in different types of communications, but mostly letters. But they might be a partner. We're not like most of the other members of that group. They're all science organizations, but they are getting into the advocacy realm on the same issues that we're talking about.
Well, thanks for sharing. Yeah, I agree. I come from a policy background, who's a big believer in casework. I still think it matters. I know it matters, actually. And it's something that I think it starts with awareness and education, which is another big tenet, right? And to Gina's point too, about bringing back these in-person events, I think that's really important, right? For both the networking, but also for forging more partnerships. So I agree. I think these are all great ideas. And, what we've been presenting today is what we have, moving forward in terms of this, 2025. But what I try to do is take the excellent strategic plan, goals, and framework that was built by Paul and others last year and extend it to a 3-year action plan. And year one is to really increase our visibility again. And this has been a great discussion on maybe how to do that. Then year 2 is really to grow that network. And then year 3 is to maintain it. Like, how do we strengthen and maintain? And so as we're thinking through this year, and hopefully as you guys continue to engage in the programming that we have to offer in the fall and leading up to the fall, please also be thinking about how you can plug in and how you can help carry some of these, ideas forward. This is very much I think an all hands on deck kind of situation that we're all involved with in the field of coastal management and protection. And we have such an incredible, knowledgeable and experienced group of individuals affiliated with the Coastal Society, which I think is such an asset. And so I really just want to give a point of encouragement that we all continue to keep working. But I do want to transition next to our awards that Judy's going to give out for some of these excellent people that we have we're working with.
Thank you, Jenny. And if you don't mind, I think I'm going to change the order a bit on some of these awards. Okay. Steve, we have a slide that does describe the various the awards that we're going to give. They are the Outstanding Service, Distinguished Service, and Robert Connect Award. And then we'll follow up with the President's Awards. These are given to outstanding individuals who've served TCS and or the coastal field. I'm going to start with the Robert W. Connect Award for Professional Promise. It's presented to a rising professional in coastal and ocean management who emulates the vigor, dedication, vision, and generosity of Robert W. Connect. Reading from the nomination about this person, her dissertation research assessing the emotional trauma of exposure to PFAS through drinking water represents an innovative scholarship that bridges coastal science, public health, and environmental justice. This research demonstrates her ability to tackle complex, interdisciplinary challenges that are central to modern coastal management, and one that reflects the holistic, community-centered approach that Robert Connect championed throughout his career in coastal management. Her career trajectory demonstrates a remarkable dedication to translating research into practical solutions for coastal communities through hazard assessment and community resilience planning in her work as a flood risk project staffer for Wetlands Watch while completing her PhD in integrated coastal studies at East Carolina University. She's also demonstrated exceptional leadership within the Coastal Society through her podcast, All Swell, her participation in Coastal Connections webinars, and production of TCS flyers for social media posts. The Robert W. Connect Award for Professional Promise is awarded to Genevieve Gary. Congratulations. Gigi, would you like to say anything?
She had a note.
Gigi said she might
Had
have
to
to
jump.
call, which is why I switched the order to presenting her first. But unfortunately, I guess the timing is off for that.
You're still
Sorry.
here. She's muted. There it is.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to jump on another call because I'm actually headed to Roanoke over the weekend to work with communities post Helene and other flooding in Virginia. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. It has been a crazy year. For those that don't fully know me, I am still trying to finish my dissertation, which is going to be longer now because my house also flooded, or I guess it was a water leak. I don't want to say it was flooded from a environmental disaster. So I'm still living in a rental house, and I'm having my wedding in like 3 months. So I just, I really appreciate it. Everybody, and I really enjoyed TCS and working with everybody here and continue to work with them. And I really believe in the organization and really want to help see it grow to help other people, especially younger people coming into this field because it is a really difficult job field to be in, but it's very, very rewarding. So I appreciate it a lot. Thanks, y'all.
Congratulations again, Gigi. The next one I'm going to present is the Distinguished Service Award, which is given to a member of the Coastal Society for their sincere dedication to the Coastal Society. This person was nominated in recognition of her exceptional service and commitment to the Coastal Society. She's been an active TCS member for the past 2 years, serving on the board of directors and on multiple committees. She has helped plan, prepare, and lead many MED workshops, the North Carolina Fall Forum coming up, and the UNCW student chapter events. She's an ongoing advisor on issues related to the Coastal Society website. She brings her applied coastal science knowledge to board discussions and shares her valuable perspective on the needs and interests of student members and emerging professionals. The Distinguished Service Award is given to Kate Fuller. Congratulations, Kate. Would you like to say anything?
I'm surprised and honored, and I've just been very happy to be able to serve TCS and its mission and continue supporting, helping it get out there and continue its service. And thank you for the award.
Thank you for all your work. The last award for this year is the Outstanding Service Award, and it's given to an individual for their outstanding commitments in the coastal management field. This person was nominated in recognition of exceptional dedication to coastal conservation and community engagement throughout her local coastal region. With decades of experience in coastal advocacy and outreach along her state's vulnerable coastline, she has built bridges between scientific research, policy implementation, and community action. Her expertise in habitat creation has contributed to meaningful conservation outcomes, while her community engagement work has empowered local stakeholders to become active participants in coastal stewardship. Her dedicated service has made a measurable difference in both habitat restoration and community preparedness along the Louisiana shoreline. Her outstanding accomplishments in advancing coastal science, education, and management through both her professional work as project coordinator for Restore and Retreat and her volunteer service to TCS merit recognition of Polly Glover through the Outstanding Service Award. Congratulations goes to Polly. Unfortunately, she was unable to join us for the meeting because she is out doing all of those things that we are congratulating her for. Jenny, would you like to make the President's Awards?
Yes. As newcomers somewhat in terms of this role, my award today is given to someone whose service, and this is exemplary in terms of their contributions. And we focus really just on last year because there's a lot of people that are deserving. But it has to do probably because I've worked with this person the most. So the person that I think totally slayed, as we say in the youthful vernacular, this past year was Jeff Flood. So I first met Jeff when Dr. Cahoon actually asked me to join the forums planning team in 2023. And since then, we've worked closely together on the MAC committees to help facilitate career development for students and professionals working in the coastal development field. I also had the pleasure of working with Jeff and others on an essay that was published in the Coastal Management Journal that situated the forum's proceedings into the context of ecosystem-based management. Jeff is a master organizer, and I really appreciate his strategic and systematic approach to planning events. Judy wasn't, joking when she said we have events in a box in terms of very detailed instructions on how to actually execute, which just takes a lot of the guesswork out of it and makes it a lot more simple and more doable. So that's been helpful. His dedication to helping students and young professionals advance their career goals is noble, and his devotion on coastal community, the cause itself, is very inspiring to me. So Jeff, I want to say thank you for your time, your energy, and your efforts to TCS and the field of coastal management at large. So congratulations.
Thank you all, and really appreciate that. And as you guys can tell, I've had some great support. It's an all-star cast. I mean, Kate and Gigi just got awards. They played a huge role in the MAD workshops and the UNCW forum. So I've got a lot of talent to work with. I just kind of heard the cats here and there, but it's a tribute to the folks that I get to work with, and then really am excited to be part of the forum planning team. With you and Sam and Dr. Ferris and the rest of the gang. So it's truly a privilege to be able to work with so many great people and get things done.
All right. Well, thank you all, and congratulations to all the awardees. So we're going to wrap up. The final thoughts for me are really just, based on our discussion, I always take notes. I listen. What I heard was professional networking, mentoring, expanding into an international presence in terms of partnerships, pursuing more events locally through schools, and trying to find some new footing with non-traditional funding schemes. Also, you know, a new role of potentially exploring more of an advocacy, which I'm definitely open to discussing. As the president, I know it'll be my name that signs those letters, and I'm okay with that. So that's something that I wouldn't mind discussing that further with those that are interested, as well as, you know, exploring additional partnerships with scientific groups and the like, and the people that you guys are affiliated with. I agree. One of the things that in a lot of discussions has been that there doesn't need to be a competition amongst who your membership, where it lies. We can all work together, right? And I'm a big fan to someone who studies collaborative governance, that it's about coalition building, about teamwork. I'm really excited and looking forward to the events that we have planned in the fall. The forum at UNCW is going to be wonderful. There are going to be 50 celebrations happening throughout the year. There will be a 50th anniversary social happening with the forum on that October 23rd, 24th event series, coupled with the MAD. So please get engaged. Please reach out. Judy, would you mind dropping the volunteer link into the chat? We will take everyone who has that kind of time and energy and inspiration, and let's do it. We can achieve a lot when we work together. I truly believe that, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you for your time. If you have any other questions, do not hesitate to reach out. And with that, we can conclude the meeting, the annual meeting for this year. So again, thank you all. And I can stay on too for the next 15 minutes that we have remaining, if anyone would like to continue the chat or has ideas that they want to discuss with me. So thank you, everyone.